The hidden price of seeing what others deny lies not in the vision itself, but in the invisible consequences that vision brings. Some people not only see what's before their eyes, but also perceive hidden intentions, social masks, repressed emotions, and truths most prefer not to acknowledge. Jung called this an advanced form of perception, a rare gift that seemed to place certain individuals ahead of their time. But this gift came with a heavy burden. Those who see too much pay dearly, because the truth is not only liberating, it is often lonely, dangerous, and even destructive. Imagine living in a world where you sense lies before you even hear them, where every false smile carries the weight of hidden pain, where every social setting reveals tensions no one admits. What for many seems like common intuition, for some is an almost brutal perception, impossible to turn off. This gift is like having a magnified view of reality, but without the option to close your eyes. And when you see what others deny, you are not celebrated, you are isolated. Because society doesn't want to be unmasked. People don't want their shadows revealed. They'd rather attack the messenger than face what's been revealed. And that's where the gift becomes a curse. Today we'll explore in depth why seeing too much can be costly. I'll show you how this power manifests, why it leads so many people to isolation, how it connects with Jung's theory of the shadow, and most importantly, how it's possible to transform this burden into wisdom rather than letting it destroy. But before we move on, I want you to ask yourself, have you ever felt the sensation of perceiving something no one else saw? Have you ever felt that strange loneliness of carrying a truth that others couldn't bear to hear? If so, then perhaps this video is more about you than you realize. This type of reflection helps you put into words what you experience. Consider subscribing to the channel and leaving your like right now. This way you don't get lost in the process. The algorithm will ensure these messages continue to reach you when you need clarity and encouragement most. Sometimes a simple reminder can completely change how you get through this phase. Jung first noticed this phenomenon during his clinical work. One of his patients didn't present with delusions or common mental disorders. On the contrary, he possessed an uncomfortable clarity. He could identify invisible tensions in the environment, sense emotions no one had confessed, see the fragility hidden behind expressions of confidence. It was as if he had access to a layer of reality that most ignore, not out of incapacity, but out of self-preservation. This patient couldn't stand superficial conversations because every word carried a hidden weight. He didn't maintain friendships because people felt too exposed in his presence. And he didn't stay in jobs because his mere glance disarmed the unconscious agreements that keep groups functioning. Jung understood that this wasn't a pathology, but a rare type of consciousness. It was a perception so distinct that it made ordinary social life impossible. Those who see what others don't want to see bear a mark. This mark isn't visible, but it's felt by everyone around them. It's as if mere presence were a mirror in which each person sees what they deny in themselves. And no one likes to face their own distorted reflection. The gift, therefore, becomes a trigger for rejection. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever felt that your sensitivity pushes people away more than it brings them closer? Perhaps this is the hidden price of seeing what others deny. But Jung discovered something even more disturbing. He realized that these highly perceptive individuals were not only isolated by the group, but also became targets of an even more dangerous unconscious force: shadow projection. When someone clearly sees what others refuse to admit, they inevitably become the mirror that reveals the truth. And the most common reaction to this mirror is not gratitude, it's attack. People, unable to deal with their own contradictions, unload onto the bearer of vision what they cannot bear in themselves. Suddenly, the sensitive becomes the culprit. The intuitive becomes the outsider. The observer becomes the enemy. Jung wrote that nothing influences a person more than the unlived lives of their parents, and he extended this logic to all relationships. What we don't recognize in ourselves, we project onto those who expose the truth. Thus, those who see beyond appearances begin to carry the weight of guilt and fears that are not their own. They are accused of inventing problems, of being negative, of seeing too much. Not because it's wrong, but because seeing the truth is a threat to the unconscious order that holds the group together. And that's why many of these individuals end up being turned into scapegoats. They're not the problem, but they become the embodiment of everything the group can't bear to acknowledge. And in that moment, the gift of vision becomes an unbearable burden. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever been accused of being the problem simply for seeing what was right in front of everyone? This is the hidden price of seeing what others deny, carrying shadows that were never yours. Jung called this phenomenon dangerous because it wasn't just a matter of social discomfort. He realized there were real risks to the mental health and very psychological survival of these individuals. The first danger is social disruption. Those who see too much threaten the collective illusions that keep groups functioning. Every family, every business, every society lives on silent agreements about what can and cannot be said, about what truths can and cannot be acknowledged. The individual who crosses these barriers, even unintentionally, becomes a factor of instability, not because they create problems, but because they reveal those that already existed. The second danger is psychological isolation. Those who see too clearly carry what Jung called the problem of the higher function. Their greatest strength becomes their greatest curse. Clarity, which could be a gift, becomes an invisible wall, separating the individual from others. It's like living on an island of consciousness surrounded by an ocean of unconsciousness. This loneliness is not only social, but existential. Finally, the third danger is the dissolution of identity. Many of these individuals end up absorbing so much of the unconscious of others that they lose touch with their own essence. Psychological boundaries dissolve, and they begin to carry pain, anxieties, and even desires that don't belong to them. Jung called this mystical participation, a state in which the self loses itself in the collective, to the point of disappearing. And it is at this point that the gift becomes a risk of inner annihilation. Disruption, isolation, dissolution. These are the three central dangers of seeing what others deny. And the most frightening thing is that for many, these risks appear silently, like an internal erosion that is only noticed when it's too late. But Jung didn't stop at diagnosing the danger. He believed that seeing what others deny is not only a curse, but also a rare possibility for transformation. The problem isn't seeing too much, but not knowing what to do with that vision. For Jung, the key was the process he called individuation, a path of integration capable of transforming burden into strength, loneliness into wisdom, and insight into conscious service. The first step is recognition. One must distinguish between what belongs to oneself and what has been absorbed from the environment. Without this clarity, one becomes lost amidst the emotions of others and fails to recognize one's own voice. Jung advised that this recognition only occurs in solitude. It is in silence, away from social noise, that one perceives where the self ends and the other begins. The second step is integrating the shadow. Those who see too much in others often forget that they also carry within themselves the same darkness. When one's own shadow is denied, perception becomes distorted, full of judgment and resentment. But when the shadow is recognized, vision becomes lighter, wiser, and less punitive. The third step is conscious participation. It's learning to deal with the collective's contents without losing one's own identity. It's being among others without drowning in what they project. Jung called this creating psychological containers, the ability to temporarily hold the weight of another's unconscious without mistaking it for one's own. When these three steps are practiced, recognition, integration, and participation, the gift ceases to be an unbearable burden and becomes a tool for evolution. Not only individual, but collective. Because those who learn to see without getting lost become beacons, someone capable of illuminating, not to condemn, but to show paths. Throughout history, we find clear examples of what happens when this rare insight is not integrated, and also of what happens when it transforms into wisdom. On one side, there are those who, like Nietzsche, saw too much, but found no way to sustain the weight of their vision. Nietzsche clearly saw the contradictions of morality, religion, and society. He had the courage to say what few dared, but he ended up sinking into his own lucidity, isolated and consumed by an excess of consciousness. His insight became a weapon, but he found no balance. It was a classic case of collapse due to lack of integration. On the other side, there are examples of individuals who managed to transform their gift into a path of wisdom. Mystics like Meister Eckhart, who spoke of spiritual and psychological realities that few could comprehend, but did so with humility and compassion. Rather than crushing others with his vision, Eckhart offered his insights as nourishment, not condemnation. Jung himself found himself between these two poles. During his own crisis, he was nearly swallowed by the unconscious. But by recording his experiences and working with patients, he was able to transform what could have been destructive into an inexhaustible source of knowledge. These examples show that gift is not destiny. The same perspective that can lead to collapse can also lead to wisdom. The difference is not in what you see, but in how you learn to sustain what you see. And herein lies the question: will you become a prisoner of your vision, or will you transform it into a key to growth? The hidden price of seeing what others deny has never been just about suffering or isolation. It is, above all, about choice. The same vision that can destroy can also transform. Jung believed that those who carry this gift are not broken, nor condemned. They are pioneers of consciousness, people who perceive before the collective what needs to be seen. The difference between a curse and a gift lies in how this perception is integrated. You can get lost in the weight of the shadows, or you can learn to carry them wisely, recognizing that they are not all yours. You can be rejected by what you see, or you can transform your vision into a guiding light. And here I want to speak directly to you. Perhaps you've felt isolated, accused, even suffocated by seeing too much. Perhaps you've thought there was something wrong with you. But what Jung discovered is that, in fact, there is something too right. You simply perceive it before others. And that takes courage. It takes preparation. It takes awareness. So I ask you, will you stifle your vision to fit into the world of others? Or will you learn to integrate it and become exactly who you came to be? Share your experience in the comments. Have you ever felt the weight of seeing what others won't admit? Subscribe to the channel to continue this journey with me, and don't forget to like it, because that helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. The world needs more people willing to see, but above all, more people willing to integrate what they see. And if you want to take the next step in this reflection, I recommend watching the next video here on the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next dive.